last year at the awards for the Wall of Fame Awards at Ryan Hospital. First I met his parents and his daughter, because I was sitting near them. And then I sort of got to know Scott, and I thought to myself when he went to win his award, he had a really profound effect on me, because I could tell like he was so trying to redefine himself, and I think it's a great thing. And also that the journey that we're all on takes forever. It's taken me 20 years, but Scott is a really cool guy, and he had a great life before his accident. He had a wife and a kid. Actually, his daughter started crying when he won the award, which I thought was great, because it was such a profoundly moving ceremony. He was trying to stand, and it had a really big effect on me. And so as soon as Scott got back, I sort of stayed in touch with him, and I put him in touch with a mentor, because Scott's now a photographer, which I think is great, and he's doing wedding photography, and I think he's getting into art photography as well. And the mentor will help him. He has to redefine himself and sort of get to a point where he can move on from his past, but redefine himself and be able to sort of cope with what the loss that he's had, which is, I thought it was really poignant when his daughter started crying when he won that award, because it's a huge journey that everybody's on. And me myself, I had my accident 20 years ago, so I've told Scott, you know, it takes time. I was like paralysed on one side of my body. I have a severe brain injury, so like Scott, but I was in a high back wheelchair. At least Scott can move a bit. He's in a bit of a lower wheelchair, and he's trying to stand, and I told him, you know, eat as much as you want, put as much weight. I was 75 kilos and had all my hair shaved off, so I look completely different then. So yeah, I'm wishing Scott all the best of luck, and I hope that everything goes well for him. He's a strong guy and he can do really well.
Hi there, my name is Scott Priestley. Nearly 7 years ago, on the 7th of November 2006, I was coming out of my new job that I just started 9 days before my crash at Fraser's Motorcycles as the service manager. On my way home, I cuffed my Ducati. I come around a corner and the bike slipped in some residue left by a previous car crash. I hit the guardrail, then a telegraph pole. I literally bleeding to death from a tear in my neck. I've got a brain injury and a permanently disabled left arm. After my crash, I was unconscious for 2.5 months in John Hunter before being moved to rehab at Rankin Park for a little while. I've got no memory of. I was then transferred to rehab at Road Brain Injury in Sydney, which was hard for my family and friends, but good for my rehab. It was an intense 5 days a week. Not only did they help me with my physical strength, but also my speech, learning to walk again, and my mental health. I could never fault the help given by the staff down there. Now they've had time to think about it. I thought I was wasting my time. I tried to commit suicide, thinking it was pointless. Like reading newspapers to write news stories, to read out to a news group, which I now realise was to make my brain active, to find a story to tell, and to read out to the group to help work on my speech again. I also walked sometimes close to 400 metres twice a day in a walking frame down there. I was down there for around 2 years, then I was transferred to Toronto Hospital for 13 months whilst my house was finished being modified. But since getting home from rehab, my wife has left me for not being the man she married. I find it really hard to be the man I was again. As a Khan, I was once active, leading a social GK matter group that I started, and I'm now the vice president of, even though I can't write again, which also makes me sad.
Hi mate, you are so cool, Dad. I want to be as cool as you. From Kaz. Hi Daddy-O, you're one of the coolest, so don't change. I know you won't. From Sambolina.
Husband, had a lovely day at park with you and the girls and Maxi Boy. I'll be back from Kangaroo Valley to see you on Monday. Love and kisses, wife. Lisa, Richard, Greenie, Chriso, Tony and Penny visited for Friends Seminar. Had a great visit, lots of laughs, watched some movies. Always good to see you. Tony and Penny. Trish also visited with Robert to bring some chocolates, as we know you love caramello koalas. Make sure you share.
We had a great afternoon outside talking to other people with lots of laughs about everything you remembered. Mum and Dad. 2 phone calls are from Tony and 1 from Auntie Cav.
Scott, tell me how you feel when you see the crash site.
I don't mind. I can't remember actually working there at all. Like, not even 1 minute. But they've been really nice to me, so I think it's a good place to go and visit.
And do you think that it was just an accident, just happened?
I was just very unlucky that it happened because I wasn't a bad rider.
And
I was once a professional racer.
today's anniversary, how does that make you feel?
It happened 7 years ago. It's only 7 years, so it's been a big part of my life gone, but oh well. I'm still alive and look how good I am.
Are your plans to be able to walk again independently?
Absolutely. And the way I was doing today, I don't think it'll be far away.
What were you doing today?
Walking
Um,
and sitting up and standing down over and over in different chairs, walking one end to the other.
Vince Suter formed the 100 Dogs Motorcycle Club with Scott in 2005. The idea came to them after they met at the Ducati display and realised that they shared a mutual love of Ducati bikes. The club sought and was formally granted a charitable fundraising authority 1 year after Scott's accident on Melbourne Cup Day in 2006.
So let me show you what happens when you have an accident like Scott had. I went down and investigated immediately, like the day after, because it happened towards the end of the evening or the afternoon, and I didn't hear about it until a couple of hours later. But this is what I picked up off the road. That is all bits of Scott's bike, you know, and this is just, it's quite sad to look at because you know what's behind it, you know the human tragedy of it all, you know, somebody's helped him because obviously he's the most important bit, and when they've all swept it up and taken him to the hospital and, you know, trying to look after the man, this is just such a reminder of what's actually, you know, brought all this trauma into his life. It's really quite sad looking at it. I know when I collected it, I thought one day when he's walking and he's his old self again, you know, because that's what you think the day after the accident, I'll make this into a collage in some way. You know, I'll get photos of his new bike or something and stick these on it, or I don't know, but that day hasn't come. You know, it's been 7 years. And I've always hoped I'll be able to give this back to Scott when he's, you know, something that resembles his normal self, and that's never going to happen. So there might be some other way. And of course, I'm also aware that this just might be too bad a reminder for him. You know, and I really wouldn't want to put him through that. So it's just been sitting on a shelf, you know, waiting to decide what to do. So.
He also has 2 daughters, Samantha, now 20, and Cassandra, 19, who live with their mother. He's progressed from wedding photography to concentrating on family portraits and photographs. Now, just tell me how you got into photography and when you got into photography.
Back after school, when I first had my kids, a friend of mine got me doing photography with him, and after that he got me doing them by myself, and since then I've taken over doing it all by myself, and this is a lot of the work I've done just here.
And what sort of, do you do mainly weddings, or is it
I do mainly
kinds
weddings,
of-
but I have done also school portraits, and I was also once the trots, the photographer in Newcastle Trots. I love this photo. I'll put it up for you.
hold it up for me? Oh, that's a beautiful picture. When was that taken?
Oh, can't remember. Years ago.
It's lovely.
It was nice though. What a Benny.
And do you have a lot of support from your friends?
No. Some friends I do, but the people who are my best friends aren't. Also, I love this photo. It's a bit of some lady.
What, was that another wedding that you did
It's
with a
another one
friend?
that did over near Lake Macquarie.
It was lovely.
Thank you.
And so tell me about your marriage and your accident. A bit of background, what happened?
Well, I just started a brand new job at Fraser's Manasop as the service manager, and on my 9 days after I started there, on my way home, there's a crash before mine. I came off the motorbike, been something on the road, crashed into a telegraph pole, giving me a brain injury, putting me in rehab for 2.5 years in Sydney, which is where I've become the man that I am today.
And do you think that it's changed you? You're a better person now?
No, I'm not a better person now.
Why
Possibly why my wife left me.
why do you think that happened? Was it a gradual breakup, or?
Not sure, but I know that my moods have changed and I'm quite agitated a lot of the time because I can't do what I used to do.
And what sort of things did you used to do?
I used to be the Ducati club that I started as president. I'm now the vice president of that club. I can't ride a motorbike again because I haven't got one. And two, I found one that work again ever.
And tell me about your daughters. How old are they?
My two beautiful daughters are 15 and 16 years old. And my oldest daughter's got 2 jobs already. And also has her L's to get her license. Has her own car. But they live with their mother now.
Do you still speak to your wife, your ex-wife?
If I have to, I do, but most of the time I don't. Because she just beeps out the front and the girls walk out and see her.
And what about your friends?
Which friends?
Do you still have the same friends as before?
Some friends I do, but if I don't go and see them, they don't come and see me. And most of the friends I had in the GK club don't come and see me at all.
And what sort of plans do you have for the future?
Well, right now I'm doing business management and tech. I'm doing very well. I'm doing that for in fact that 8 weeks before the end of the class, my teachers have told me that I can just not come for the rest of the year. As I've already passed, but I'm still going to go anyway just to keep my head in the game, if you know what I'm saying.
And what about your sailing?
That's been put by the wayside while I'm doing this. I actually volunteer for Sailability, where I disabled sailors. I do it I used to do it once a week, and I could go back doing it once a week. I take on the people who aren't skilled out for either just a joyride or to teach them how to sail.
And do you have a lot of friends with disabilities?
I do actually, yeah. I don't see them a lot because one, they can't get here, and two, they live far away.
And tell me about the award that you got. What did that mean to you?
I got put up on the Ride Rehab Wall of Fame. It meant a lot for me because it recognised my achievements.
Scott's parents, Charlene and John, live nearby in Holmesville, Newcastle. He was recently named as a local hero by the local papers. Scott also has 2 older brothers, Tony and Brett. Scott was first taken to John Hunter Hospital, where he spent the night in intensive care. His parents went home at 5:30 a.m. the next morning and were told to return at about 8 a.m. to talk to his doctors. Then they were told that it would probably be touch and go but that Scott would probably end up being transferred to Stockton Hospital for rehabilitation. I just want to ask you why a bit of background about the Wall of Fame and why you wanted Scott to be on the Wall of Fame.
Well, there's an interesting history to the Wall of Fame in that it was started as an initiative of Dr. Clayton King. It was his idea and concept, and he developed it in 2003. So we've just celebrated the 10th anniversary. In the period of that time, there have been 75 participants in the Wall of Fame who each year have shared their story. And I think that's the most important thing about the Wall of Fame, is the opportunity to share the story that is both inspirational for those that hear it, but it's also, I think, very motivational for the families and for others who are perhaps going down some of the same journey themselves, and they will be encouraged by the positive stories that are shared during the Wall of Fame. People such as Scott, who, following his motorbike accident and his time in our brain injury unit, did some amazing things in terms of his recovery while he was here, learning to feed himself, learning to talk again, learning to communicate, learning to use his wheelchair, and now, of course, he's progressed from the wheelchair to being able to stand unaided, to take some steps. These are magnificent results that he personally is making, because he's been, I think, inspired by being on the Wall of Fame, and the fact that the Wall of Fame does attract so much attention because they're positive outcomes for the people who have unfortunately experienced either an injury or an accident, and now can share that experience that they've had with everyone else. And that, I think, sort of captures the whole sense of the Wall of Fame, and the fact that all of those stories are translated into framed pictures that are displayed within the brain injury unit, so that everyone gets the benefit of the positive messages and the outcomes that can be achieved. And I think that's very reassuring for anyone coming into the brain injury unit following an accident where they may have been in a coma and they're just beginning their journey of recovery. Must be very, very reassuring to know the success and the achievements that others have made. And that's why I think the Wall of Fame is so important, and it's such a legacy of Dr. Clayton King that he inspired it and has continued to promote it over these last 10 years.
The Wall of Fame Awards gives us an opportunity to get some closure and support each other. Each person has a deeply personal journey that also affects our friends and family, but it gives us an opportunity to get some closure and cheer for each other. I try and make it to the awards every single year. The awards have grown in size and stature. I was an early recipient of the Wall of Fame award, and there was mostly friends and family present in the audience. Now the awards attract a lot of media attention and politicians.
Well, Royal Rehab Centre is about 100 years old, and it was, the brain injury unit is newer than that, but it was set up to start with look after people who've had problems after an injury or an illness. But then it gradually became clear that rehabilitating people, trying to get people to make the best of the recovery after their injury was really the way to go, rather than just caring for people. And so a big focus on the current service is the rehabilitation. While there is some aspect of Royal Rehab that provides some care in houses in the community and in Wimala,
What is Wimala?
Wimala is an accommodation facility. It's behind us here on the right.
Right.
And it has individual units and I guess group accommodation for people who have had serious injuries and need assistance with their day-to-day activities. So
Right, the last time I came, there was a soldier that had come back from Afghanistan and he had quite a brain injury. What sort of people do you have as clients here?
Well, it's people from all walks of life and from a range of sort of causes of injury. So really anyone who's had an injury and is in the recovery phase and has goals in terms of improving their abilities, getting back into life after a serious brain injury, could be an inpatient in the brain injury unit, and then also work with the brain injury community rehab team after they've left the inpatient unit. The sort of problems early on might be to do with things that we would all take for granted, really. Things to do with swallowing and looking after controlling the bowels and bladder, and just rolling over in bed could be a challenge. Moving from bed to a chair, walking down the corridor, perhaps using a wheelchair as a temporary sort of thing. That they might all be early things to need to be looked at.
And so tell me, do you meet clients at acute care hospitals, or do you have families approaching you for rehabilitation?
Well, people would come to us. Sometimes we would have a call from a family member saying, you know, my family member lives in Sydney nearby and they've had a nasty injury in the country. We would then get some information from their people who are looking after their acute medical needs, such as neurosurgeons or the trauma surgeons usually, and we'd have a referral from the acute hospital. I would also go, I or someone from my team would go to see the person and get an idea about what their injuries are, try to get some information, and try to start thinking about what would the goals be, how can we help this person to recover.
Absolutely. Come on down, Scott. To steal a life from another show, I believe. Congratulations, Scott.
Thank you. That's pretty good, don't I?
You do. Do you want to speak to your story?
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Scott Priestley. I'm back on the 7th of November 2006, coming up from a new job that I just started 9 days before my crash at Fraser's Motorcycle. I cuffed my Ducati and crashed into a telegraph pole. Left me nearly bleeding to death for a tear on my neck and a permanently disabled left arm. I've also had a brain injury. But due to the fine support of Right Rehab, it's brought me back to be the man I am today. So thank you all. I'd also like to thank my family and my daughter coming down with me today, and my dad. Happy birthday. But if you're new at Right Rehab, take the word, take a good listen to what your therapists tell you, because what they are telling you is the absolute truth. I thought I was wasting my time down there for a while. I actually tried to commit suicide once. I now realise why we did them. Wish I had put myself more into them. But thank you all. I hand it back over to Clayton now because he's here. Thank you all.
I got a round of applause again. Well done. Happy birthday, Dad. I met Scott's family and a little earlier. They came from Newcastle this morning.
The sun is shining and I'm strolling down the street. I'm smiling at every person that I meet. And there's a good reason why. I woke up this morning and I'm alive. I got a little money for milk in my coffee, but not enough for a plane ticket over the sea. But I've still got plenty of time, 'cause I woke up this morning and I'm alive. Well, I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive, yeah. Thank God I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. My baby's got a heartache and I keep it in my pocket. And the weight I bear, it helps him to forget. But you know I don't mind, 'cause I woke up this morning and I'm alive. Well, I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive, yeah. Well, thank God I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. Sun is shining.
Hi, I'm just here with Joan. I just bumped into her. I'm so happy because if it wasn't for Joan, I'd be like, I was in a high back wheelchair and I don't think I couldn't speak, couldn't even move my arms, couldn't drink, couldn't swallow. I was really badly injured. And it was Joan's idea that when I left here, I really wanted a walking stick because I went from the catheter and the frame and the everything, and I wanted at least a walking stick, and Joan said no. And I thought, wow, why on earth? But like, I'm really glad now because I think about the thing, if I had that walking stick, I would have it today. There was no way, Joan. And I also explained Scientology to Joan when I was here, and she just said, wow, you're really recovering. I think I was the oddest person here because when I was in the transitional unit, I wanted to learn Spanish because I kept thinking, well, if you're going to be here, you might as well do something while you're here. And I was still thinking, I thought that was a bit oddball, Joan.
You're doing fine.
Joan, you're just so wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Big kiss.
Thank you.
Thanks. That's all.